set for the men's gold race this morning, the first of 6 collegiate races, and they are underway. It is an 8-kilometer layout. And you see the field tearing into what David Lawhorn, the meet director, calls a very dry course. Louisville has not had rain in over 6 weeks. So mud is not going to be a factor at all today in Kentucky as we settle in for the collegiate and open action. You can see our lead cart. They were going to keep that cart a little bit of a distance away from the runners because of kicking up dust, but you see everybody spreading out, a lot of room in these opening meters for everybody to settle in, and you see the runners going right to left, and we'll keep pace with the splits as we go through this 8-kilometer race today. The course record goes all the way back to 2012. 22:33:57, and that was at the Live in Lou Classic 7 years ago. And a good shot of our leaders. Although many of the teams running today, over, as I said, over 2,600 collegiate athletes from the NAIA and all 3 divisions of NCAA competition. You see our leader from Illinois.
You can follow the rope.
Going a little bit wide of the turn. And a nice shot from our lead vehicle. And just cruising through the first half mile. We'll come up to the 1-kilometer point. We'll get some splits on how this field is shaping up today, and again, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Just a gorgeous day in Louisville for just the beginning of the basically the conference championship season. You'll see these athletes going into a training cycle after the weekend flurry of activity. A lot of invitationals across the country this weekend, yesterday and also today. And already a gap of about 50 meters, and they'll be coming up on 1K shortly, and it looks like they did just go through the 1-kilometer point. The first split will be at the 2K mark, and already a gap of about 60 meters. In case you're wondering about the layout, this is a championship course. It's been the site of a number of national collegiate competitions. As I mentioned earlier, it will be the D3 championship site come November 23rd. And you can see that dust that lead vehicle kicked up as he made the sharp left-hand turn, and our leader's now up about, looks like about 70 meters. And the rest of the field is working the 2nd kilometer of this 8K race for the men's gold field.
Cam 1 for CJ. 4:16 at the mile. It's still 14:10. Huge gap.
And that looks like running for the Illini, that is Erwin Loud, who was 8th at the Buckeye preview. I was lucky enough to be in attendance for that first home meet for the Ohio State program in 13 years. Once again, all the Big Ten teams. Many of them were in Columbus to take a look at the 8K layout that will be used to decide the men's and 6K layout to decide the women's championships, and you just see the dust is kicked up from this fairly sizable field. In the gold race, Middle Tennessee State from Conference USA currently ranked 21st in the national coaches poll. Louisville, they are 9th in the Southeast regional portion of that poll, and the Tennessee Vols are 7th in the South regional, along with Campbell in number 12 position. And just through the 2K point, as you see dust kicked up heavily. And I don't believe our leader was picked up on timing and scoring. We'll take another look at, looks like they have Athenas Kyoko from Campbell, 5:42.8, already 13 seconds and change. So Jacob Chogi from Middle Tennessee State currently second. He ran 5:56 for the opening 2.1 kilometers. And Louisville's own Emmanuel Chabosin, who was a winner a year ago. The top three competitors from 2018 return. And that lead chase pack, you can see a sizable gap. Get a look at the back of this field, but a sizable margin. Our team scores Middle Tennessee State with 38 through the 2 kilometer point. And you can see why they're in the top 25 in the country in the national coaches poll. And yes, that is Kyoko from Campbell. Amon Kemboy, his teammate for the Camels, was in 4th place at the 2.1 kilometer checkpoint, 5:56.3. And a third of this race is behind our leader, Athenas Kyoko from Campbell. And there is our lead chase pack, whittled down to 4. A nice shot of the countryside in EP Tom Sawyer Park in Louisville. We're just east of downtown, about 5 miles from the Ohio River, and on the other side, the state of Indiana, where later today a top flight high school invitation will take place on the Laverne Gibson Championship course. And of course, the national finals and the pre-nats, the Under Armour pre-nats, will be at Laverne Gibson coming up this fall. I'll look back at our leader and our field. Our leader, a junior at Campbell. And it looks like some of that early effort is starting to show on his face, but still he has a sizable gap. As we'll take another look, there is our chase pack. Tightly grouped quartet, about 30 to 40 meters back to the rest of this field as they're working the second checkpoint. 376 in this field across the scoring mats at the 2.1 kilometer mark. 3.9K will be the next checkpoint, and then we'll take that to the finish. Once again, the course record for 8 kilometers at Tom Sawyer, 22:33.57. Goes all the way back to 2012. Of our field of 376, a half dozen were under 6 minutes through the opening 2.1K. And now cruising through the midpoint, 3.9 kilometers. Kyoko from Campbell, his advantage 21 seconds over his teammate Kemboy. 10:57.3 and 11:18. Our top two runners, you see there is our chase group. Keegan Shamadi from Middle Tennessee State, his teammate Jacob Chogi, and Emmanuel Chabosin from homestanding Louisville Cardinals. That's our chase group of 4. They crossed the mat at 3.9K in 11:18 and 11:18, 1 and 2. And there is our leader, who now has a 21-second advantage to see if he can hold that over these final 4.1 kilometers. If you're just joining us, you see the dust kicked up by the lead vehicle, which our FloTrack camera crew in perfect position to check all the action from the front. They have not had rain, according to David Lawhorn, the meet director, in 6 weeks in the Louisville area. And speaking of Louisville, the Cardinals currently second at 107 points, but Middle Tennessee State less than half of that at 53 through 3.9 kilometers. There's our leader popping out of the shadows after another right-hand turn on this 8K course. And the 6 collegiate races this morning will take us through just past the noon hour Central Time, just the beginning of a action-packed day from Kentucky live on FloTrack. We'll also have the high school complement of races following the conclusion of these 6 college races. So please plan out your day accordingly, as some of the top runners from Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana and other states will be in attendance at Tom Sawyer State Park in Louisville. There is our chase group. They're working the and closing out the second third of this race course. You can see a little bit of a climb there coming through the woods. This layout offers just a little bit of everything, rolling hills, in and out of trees, lots of turns. And speaking of turns, our leader coming off a hard left. He's been in front from the beginning, has not been challenged. As I mentioned, Kyoko, a junior at Campbell. If you're not familiar with the Camels, they are a member of the Big South Conference. And there's our field, and you can see our chase pack off in the distance behind Kyoko, just adding to that advantage, churning right along through a gorgeous October morning in Louisville. And if you're a fan of cross country, you'll see these surroundings once again on November 23rd as FloTrack brings you live coverage of the Division III National Championships. Just to throw that number out once again, 22:33.57, the course record, 7 years old. And in this field, a number of D2 programs along with all of our D1 schools. Next up on the schedule will be the Women's Gold Race. That's a 6-kilometer event scheduled to kick off at 9:15 Central Time. Taking a peek into the Campbell schedule for 2019. Amon Kemboy was the lead finisher for the Camels in their opener. Appropriately titled the Elon opener. He was the winner in that race back on August 30th. A 7-second advantage. And their next trip to the starting line was September 14th. So once again, on the collegiate side, if you're not a follower of how they put their schedules together, they're only racing every couple weeks and maybe take 3 or 4 weeks off to put in those heavy training cycles. As you see our leader. And it appears this is his opener for the 2019 season. It looked like he kind of took a look down at his left wrist to check time and pace. You can see almost 18 minutes gone by. He is in the final 1.5 kilometers and some tight turns. Slowing his progress, but no challengers in sight. For Athanas Kyoko from Campbell. He was 10:57 through 3.9 kilometers, so has an outside shot at the 8K course record. Another tight turn back on the grass, so keeping some of the dust from this unseasonably dry weather in Louisville. Coming up on the final kilometer.
18:33 at 4 miles.
The team standings through the 3.9K checkpoint. Middle Tennessee State once again 53 points. They're currently number 21 in the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches National Poll. Louisville, the Cardinals, with 109 in second, and Campbell third. Even though they have 3 runners in the top 10, they have 156 points. The second meet on the Campbell schedule was the Big South Preview, and they dominated that competition, sweeping the first 6 places. So within their conference, and the young man in orange out front today wasn't even a member of the finishers in that race. So add him to the mix, and quite an impressive top 7 for the Camels. And following the Camels in the team standings through 3.9K, East Tennessee State at 178. Lipscomb with 194. So a number of these schools from Tennessee and the Carolinas. As you see our challengers, that chase pack of 4 has stayed consistent and also stayed consistently in the rearview mirror. Of Kyoko from Campbell. The next meet for the Camels is the pre-nationals, which you'll see live on FloTrack on April 19th. And you see maybe our challengers have cut the gap just a little bit. We're in the about 500 meters or so to go. There's the rest of the field. And it looks like that's the end of the top 10. Working this 8K course in Tom Sawyer State Park in Louisville. And the Camels, after the Under Armour Pre-Nats on the 19th, November 2nd, the Big South Championship meet, before they will participate in the Southeast Regional on November 15th. Once again, live coverage on FloTrack. And in addition to the cross-country action you're seeing here today from Louisville, do not forget, I don't know how you can, we're in the final stages of the IAAF World Championships from Doha, and Kevin and Lincoln have been bringing us updates and all the news for all the competitors, not just Team USA, as the 9th of 10 days occurring today, the final day on tap tomorrow, wrapping up this edition of the IAAF World Track and Field Championships from Doha. And we just eclipsed the course record time, and we do have a sprint to the line.
It's going to be a close one, folks.
Kyoko challenged, but it looks like he's going to hold on for the win. Got the big windmill arm swing, and he will be the winner, just under 23 minutes. So quite a big push in that final 500 meters, basically. Kyoko 22:58.4. Jacob Choji, from Middle Tennessee State, his teammate Keegan Chamati, finished in 23 flat and 23:02. Amon Kemboy from Campbell gives the Camels a 1-4 finish. He was timed in 23:09. You see the rest of this top 10 coming across the line. Emmanuel Chabosin, who was one of the top 3 returning. He was a winner a year ago in 23:41. He went 28 seconds faster today to finish 5th. So the competitiveness of this men's gold race raised up a bar or two. You see the W&T that just came across the line. That's West Texas A&M. And Albert Koskei from Louisville was 6th. As you see the finishers on screen, as the 370-plus athletes bringing this 8K to a close. They'll run 8 kilometers on the men's side up to the national championship season, where they push that to 10K, and discussion points out there about the race distance for men and also the race distance for women in cross country, to see if they should be upping that from 6K for the ladies. And just a stream of athletes coming through the line. And a great vantage point for the spectators at Tom Sawyer State Park. I can see why this is one of the national championship venues for all classifications in the NCAA. Picking out some of the teams that are competing in this gold race, Ferris State from Michigan, Division II. And the team standings, Middle Tennessee State dropped off just a bit over the final 4 kilometers. Finished with 66 points. Campbell, actually updating the numbers, Middle Tennessee State now credited with 79 points for the win. Campbell, 111. As most of our field of almost 400 has completed this 8K course. So Middle Tennessee State wins it, the gold race, 79. Campbell second with 111. Lipscomb moves up into third with 176. The Cardinals of Louisville faltered just a bit over those final 4 kilometers. They're credited at 223 currently, and West Texas A&M 246. There's once again almost 400 in this men's gold race of the 18th annual Live in Lou cross-country meet. Over 140 colleges and universities from 31 states are here in Louisville today. And hats off to David Lawhorn, the meet director, and also to the FloTrack crew joining me here in the Kentucky State Capitol today. And this is just the beginning of our collegiate action live from the Live in Lou cross-country meet live on FloTrack. At 10:15, so we will break away just for a couple minutes and be back just before 10:15. That's Eastern Time for the women's gold race live on FloTrack.
Right at 10 o'clock, next race at 10:15. Moms and dads, spectators.